a while since I've done one of these. Just a bunch of life stuff that got in the way, but yeah, I thought be a good day to get started back into it. So let's jump in. Biggest news, of course, is the Nvidia earnings. So I want to go through it because it has so many implications for the deeper supply chain that I think are definitely underappreciated by the market. So let's jump in. Okay, so price targets across the board just raised massively, like we've seen $300, $400. I think I even saw like a 500 floating around somewhere. So there's definitely a bullish fever coming out with where I think where people think it's going to go. But let's actually go more so into the numbers themselves because there's just a lot of different things. So, not Nebius, but it's like everyone in the supply chain, there's downstream implications of these earnings that I think like just worth covering and really like getting your head around. So anyway, let me find a good post that kind of covers it. Actually, just go NVIDIA earnings directly. Cool. So yeah, this is I think the first key number here, which is that revenues forecasted to grow by 70% in 2028. Now, most analysts' consensus is for many companies in the semiconductor supply chain is that like there's just going to be this magical drop off in demand in 2028, and these things will revert to being cyclical. It's hilarious that the market still believes that, but it is what it is. But and this is an upwards revision from 43% to 70%. So what that really means is that everything downstream of the supply chain, there is literally no way that it is going to magically dip if NVIDIA is going to grow, because for every GPU, you need cooling, you need memory, you need all of these downstream components. So anyone that thinks that like memory is cyclical, it's actually kind of getting to the point now, which is like, show me the data of where this is going to be cyclical, because there's less and less supporting evidence by the day. And you kind of see it from all of the other companies in the supply chain. So I think that's just like, that was, I think, a really big tell in the whole earnings that 2028, we're going to see explosive growth. And I don't think people are ready. Another pod guy, I really like what he says. He says, people aren't emotionally prepared for if this isn't a bubble. And every passing month, I feel like that becomes more and more true. The other bit here is that the cloud industry backlog is greater than 2 trillion. And we've got 1.3 trillion in 2027. So this is already like $100 billion bigger. Once we know what 2028 commitments look like, it's going to be bigger than 1.3, and we now just have a multi-trillion-dollar backlog. Like, it's going to be actually kind of crazy if we get to a point where this backlog hits like 5 to 10, which could definitely be possible. There's a graph floating around recently around the amount of gigawatts that we need in order to or we're trying to bring online. Let me see, it's like gigawatts 2030, I think. There's a really good graph on this. Let me see if I can quickly find it. Maybe it's like gigawatts 2035. But it's like, okay, in case I can't find it, the high level of it was that we currently have about like maybe 20 to 50 gigawatts. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Like 2026, we have about 50 gigawatts online or across the world. But by the 2030s, like, or even by 2028, we're now expected to cross like hundreds of gigawatts. So you kind of think about like just how big this build out's going to be. We actually have not genuinely got started yet, which is crazy to think about because we're already seeing so much pressure on different supply chains. So, yeah, to think that like this race is over or like we're at peak or it's too late, there's actually very little evidence for that. So anyway, moving on. We got revenue, yeah, like $4 to $6 billion higher. EPS, like minor adjustment there. Margins, and they basically guided that like margins should be in that like low to mid 70s range for the next few years, which is really good. I mean, sure, not as good as memory, but that's, I guess, like the next thing that is worth covering is that memory. They literally said it's like one of the largest bill of materials now. Let me see if I can find that quote around memory. But here's some like interesting headlines that I think are worth covering. So number one, customer concentration is falling. So 3 direct customers accounted for 21, 17, and 16% of revenue, which is 54% combined. But only 1 direct customer is still above the. This is in quarter 1. In quarter 2, only 1 customer is above the 10% and at the 16. So it's kind of like everyone who says like hyperscalers, big labs are driving majority of the revenue. That just empirically isn't correct anymore. And I think this is like the sovereign AI or like companies or individuals coming to the fact that like they need to own their own compute is becoming more prevalent. And we're seeing this more and more given the useful value of hardware has now increased. Like back in earlier this year, the amount of local models you could run that were genuinely productive was like almost close to 0, but now that's like a lot more. So yeah, and I guess like this data is kind of showing that where it's like, okay, we're now seeing like other parties get involved in compute outside of just like the large hyperscalers. So that's like definitely a really cool piece of data. Non-hyperscaler AI demand is growing faster. So hyperscalers are 13%, AI clouds being 25%. And yeah, this is really interesting as well because people always keep thinking like it's hyperscaler CapEx, but there's all of these other parties coming online that are, buying their own compute for whatever reasons they have. International activity picked up 22% from within the U.S. and 38% from outside the U.S., which is super interesting. And then inventory is ramping with Rubin, not piling up because demand is weakening. So, I mean, just understanding that. Okay, yeah, cool. They're moving product. Not sure why that took my brain so much effort to understand. So Vera Rubin is going to be about 20. It's about Q3. So yeah, that's really cool. Okay, memory pricing has become extreme with costs rising faster than expected and supply likely constrained through financial year 2028. All the memory companies have clearly said that 2027 is going to be tough. For them to now say that 2028, or NVIDIA is basically saying 2028 is already tough, tells us that the state of memory is already like pretty jam-packed. So yeah, I mean, you just can't get a clearer confirmation than this on the thesis. Memory clearly isn't cyclical and is here to stay and has much stronger pricing power. Anyone that believes otherwise, it's really just like trying to be ignorant now of like what you want to believe versus what's clearly coming out from all of these different companies. So let's see, what else do we have going here? A bunch of price target increases. Let's go back to the semis feed because there's some other interesting things. So yeah, they guided 800 billion, 750 for next year, but of course they're actually formally guiding 700 billion, but the amount they're actually going to deliver is more because I think every semiconductor company's figured out that like you can't disappoint the market given how high expectations are. So whatever numbers you see given by management are typically more conservative than they actually are, especially for this industry. Like the 1% Samsung miss, and then there's a huge sell-off. So I expect that to be more of a thing moving forward. Cool. Sweet. What else do we have? So a lot of people have talked about OpenAI's chips and like whether it weakens the CUDA advantage or the NVIDIA advantage, and that also just doesn't necessarily correlate because people keep figuring out like, oh, you can produce these chips cheaper, but the thing that just makes NVIDIA chips so good is that the older pieces of hardware keep getting more valuable, and that just means that the useful value of the productive value that each chip can produce keeps going up over time because of the backwards compatibility that CUDA has. So that's something that, yeah, kind of keeps getting lost on the market, but who knows, maybe in a few years it'll become more obvious. Yeah, here it is, a $500 price target. That's crazy. I mean, at least NVIDIA moved. It was initially down like 3% during the call, and then it kind of just like spiked really hard. I'm not sure if you can kind of see it here. It was kind of a little down after hours, and then the market was like, oh, no, these are actually fantastic earnings. Cool. Moving on. I know there's been a bit around Nebius. Okay, so Google is their TPU business. Well, the thing I keep thinking about their TPU business is like how much memory have they secured? And will a lot of the workloads be training based or inference? That's, I think, like a big question to see. But regardless, I think it's becoming like a much bigger business line for them, and going to be interesting to see how the numbers kind of print over the following years. Cool. What else do we have? Yeah, Google Cloud's growth is ridiculously strong to see. SanDisk and Kioxia planning a larger expansion for NAND fabs. Good to see there. Interesting. CEO Nikesh Arora says NeoCloud could compress hard once compute scarcity fades in 2 years from now. I'm like, brother, tell me where this is going to fade. It kind of feels like a little comical now, like hearing all of the bear cases. Like, it kind of just feels like it's a feeling that this is going to subside, or it's a feeling that compute's going to become less scarce without a lot of data, which kind of makes, like, I always think you want to figure out, like, where can you be wrong in your thesis, but it's really hard when people's reason for dismissing a case is just like, oh, it feels like it's going to go down. I've seen this before, but there's no actual like hard evidence. Let's see what else. So a lot around advanced packaging. I think Intel's what do you call it? Intel's packaging business is going to boom, and I think it's already started with Hynix, I think, contracting with Intel for their new EMIB packaging. Not new, but their way of packaging chips together. So that'll be cool to see. Intel, AMD, yeah. There's definitely been a lot of really interesting activity around Intel. Pelosi's in on it, a few other players. And yeah, I mean, American fab, that like thesis hasn't fundamentally changed. So to be seen how it plays out. Oh yes, this was another really big news. NVIDIA agreeing to buy Hugging Face for $12.9 billion. At this point, it's just kind of like NVIDIA has the money printer, and they're like, cool, what do you want to buy? I think this is strategically a really good purchase, and by promoting more NVIDIA optimized open source models, they just keep driving more demand. I think this is like such a great play, and really cool to just see that like open source companies are still able to like make good money and like build a valuable business despite not being like heavily monetized. So I think overall like a great outcome for the Hugging Face folks. And yeah, like a 10 billion plus valuation is fantastic. I wonder what their previous valuation was. Hugging Face valuation. Yeah, 4.5. So investors still made like a nice 3x, which is, yeah, really great to see. Cerberus, the whole problem with Cerberus is like they keep scaling with SRAM. Oh, there we go. With 3D stack DRAM. This could definitely be a game changer, but the question is like, how are they going to get capacity when NVIDIA has locked up a lot of memory capacity themselves? So, to be seen. I've been meaning to try Grokbot, but yeah. Hermes has been great in itself. Oh yeah, OX Alpha was actually GLM 5.3. I still need to run the new Qwen 3.8 Flash and GLM 5.3 models on my hardware, but it's great. It's just like any local compute you own will keep getting more intelligent and becoming more productive over time, which is like, I think, a loop that people just haven't figured out. This image was hilarious. It's like, oh, sell it all. It's like, oh no, actually bring it back. Kind of insane to see. Cool. Anyway, that seems to kind of be about it for today. Yeah, I mean, a lot of really great quotes, and the fact that this is one of like, I think with a lot of the AI discourse on Wall Street, it's like the difference between a structural shift and a bubble is thin, but one of the biggest mistakes is thinking that a structural shift is a bubble, which is where I think like consensus is in the market. So anyway.